Things are looking really bad for RWBY. And before we talk about that, however, let's talk about Rooster Teeth for anyone that's out of the loop. Really quick recap. I'll link my actual segment in the description if you want the full thing. You can check that out. But here's a quick recap. So recently there's been numerous people, ex-employees and employees at Rooster Teeth, coming forward with their terrible experiences working at the company. Things like not being paid for labor, things like being underpaid and forced to crunch hours, overtime, and this sort of thing. Also, people using slurs at the company, homophobia, transphobia, racism, this sort of thing as well. So, the combination of stuff. Now, if you've been following the RT news for years, or at least for a while, these sort of accusations and even just like outright evidence of this stuff happening isn't going to surprise you, because this stuff has been going on for years. It's just that the RT community tried to silence the victims every time they'd come forward. They wouldn't talk about it, and or they would like literally ban people from talking about it on Reddit and stuff like that, silencing people like myself from reporting on it. Now it seems so many people are coming forward with statements at the same time, though, that strategy is not working, and the RT community is forced to acknowledge this stuff. Although, let's not kid ourselves, there's still some very weird shills bootlicking this corporation, this corrupt corporation, and still trying to defend them with their dying breath for some reason. I've also seen people bring up an interesting point, asking, like, why is the RT community just now talking about this stuff? And like, as I mentioned, there's so many accounts coming out at the same time, that's probably why. But they bring up a good point, because I've seen those same people also say, like, worse stuff has come out about RT that people were ignoring. And the worst stuff, you know, what we talked about is already really bad. Crunch hours, overtime, not paying, like, you know, awful stuff going on. But there has been worse stuff, that's true. There's been a vice president charged with domestic abuse. There's been people like Ryan Haywood and Kovic, which I gotta refresh my mind on those situations, but there was some sort of lawsuits going around about alleged sexual abuse and things like that. So, yeah, it's it's very, very bad. A fair question. It's pretty disturbing. I don't have an answer, obviously. All I can say is it's really disturbing that the RT community was radio silent about all this stuff for so long. Anyways, a bit of a long intro that should get you up to speed for the most part on what's going on if you've been out of the loop. And let's talk about RWBY. That's why we're here. A tweet from Josh Grelle. They were the VA of Tryian on RWBY, and they say, continuously disgusted by the appalling news about Rooster Teeth. They have a lot to answer for in their mistreatment of minorities and contract workers. As a queer person, I refuse to reprise my role as Tryian callous for a company that thinks belittling BIPOC or LGBTQ is okay. I think I said BIPOC right. You're supposed to say it like that and not like read out each individual thing, right? I always forget about that one, how that works. Anyways, as you guys know, there's a lot of terrible stuff going on at RT, not just this. Not that I'm saying this is not bad. It is bad. I'm just saying there's more. Josh, of course, is limited to what they can put in a tweet, though. Character limit and all that. I'm not trying to nitpick the tweet either. I think this is pretty cool on Josh's part. Basically saying, and I'm going to paraphrase here, RT is a corrupt scumbag company, and Josh wants no part in that corrupt scumbag company, wants no associate with them, doesn't want to work with them, and I can certainly respect that. As a matter of fact, I think Josh raises a good point here. A large amount of Rooster Teeth personalities built their brand on how progressive they are and how much they support LGBT people and these sort of stances. How can someone who has been outspoken about such and built their brand about such therefore then also support a company like Rooster Teeth? More of these people should leave if they stand by what they say to the public. Or do they actually hold differing views behind the scenes? To be fair, it's easier said than done to leave a company, and I understand that. However, I also see the hypocrisy in having those viewpoints and working for a company like Rooster Teeth. Heck, it's just like Rooster Teeth themselves. They made tweets like this going off about how pro-social justice they are, and then when you see what the reality is behind the scenes, well, what more needs to be said? Everything RT White Knights lie about others being homophobic, racist, etc., they actually have been such the entire time. And side note, this is not surprising if you're in the loop with how many people like that have been exposed for being complete hypocrites. Social justice is almost always used by petty people for petty things, and almost never where it would actually have arguable merit. Furthermore, oftentimes the largest purveyors of such end up being caught and exposed for being the exact thing they are outspoken against, just like we see at Rooster Teeth. Josh Grelle would also make this response as well, which people pointed out as a rather important one. The context is this response he got to his initial tweet that reads, as someone else pointed out, you are affecting RWBY, who has been continually proven not to be the problem. I hope you respond to this in some manner. Josh Grelle does, and he says, RWBY and Rooster Teeth are not mutually exclusive. They are the same company. Yeah, look, obviously across the board, whether it's RWBY or Rooster Teeth, there's going to be innocent employees caught up in this mess. But the fact is, the inverse is also true, meaning that there are corrupt employees also working at Rooster Teeth that are also working on RWBY. It's just a fact. Just in case anyone out there watching this doesn't know what RWBY is, that's basically like the affectionate fan name that the fans gave to the team that works on RWBY at Rooster Teeth. So it's the Rooster Teeth employees that work on RWBY, basically. And some people really just can't accept that their show's involved with a company that's done like terrible things. Look, man, the fact is, It has. I know I said fact twice recently, but what like people want to live in some like blind reality where they just don't admit the truth even when it's right in front of their face. It's pretty messed up actually, dude. Like come on now. The show's cool, but it's not that important. Like real people matter more than this show. And that said, I personally will always make a small caveat for Monty and, his baby, RWBY. It's unfortunate how this all went down. Even taking that all into account, though, RWBY is still, at the end of the day, a show. And yeah, real people suffering for the sake of production and corporate money and all that. Yeah, that matters more to me than the show does. On the topic of RT employees turning against RWBY/Rooster Teeth, we also have this. Former Rooster Teeth animator/rigging artist gives her thoughts on how to watch RWBY Volume 9. Steven Nice says, so would it be okay to watch RWBY Volume 9 when it comes out? I plan to watch it on Crunchyroll. I don't know if that makes a difference with supporting. I just hope it does. I take that as Steven not wanting to support Rooster Teeth. Ariana is saying, the show makes a lot of people happy. If RWBY makes you happy, please enjoy it. So many people worked hard on it. I just wouldn't put money in Rooster Teeth's pockets. I know it's behind a paywall at first. Try to wait that out if you can. Unrelated, isn't Pirates of the Caribbean a good movie? So is she basically saying don't wait for the paywall, just sail the high seas, or what? Regardless, I think you get the overall point. You may also know Barbara Dunkelman. Wasn't she like a not an executive, but she had a pretty high role at the company. I'm forgetting, like a marketing lead or something. Obviously, she's also the voice of Yang, and people were talking about how she apparently removed Rooster Teeth from her Twitter bio. Now, other people have said that she only did this so she wouldn't come up in search results when people look up Rooster Teeth. Whatever the case may be, only Barbara knows for sure, I guess. But the fact is that she has apparently removed it from her bio, so make of that what you will. Although she also did most recently, her latest tweet that I could see, retweet this tweet from Arryn, where Arryn talks about positive experiences at Rooster Teeth for the most part. So I take this as a defense of Rooster Teeth. So I personally don't think Barbara's turning against the company or anything like that. Who knows what's going on with the bio. We've also got a statement from Arryn, the voice actress of Blake Belladonna on RWBY. Although I personally don't trust Arryn. And quick side note, I would be careful with who you do trust coming forward with statements from the company. Most of the employees negatively impacted by Rooster Teeth's corruption are people that you don't know. A lot of them probably don't even have social media, and if they do, they probably have like 100 followers or something. Not that I'm shaming them for their followers. I'm pointing out that they probably don't use Twitter very often. It's not like these big personalities you see. So most of the victims are people that kind of just do their own thing behind the scenes, probably aren't even on social media, or if they do, they don't use it very often, is my point. A lot of these people talking about situations at Rooster Teeth are big personalities right now, so to speak. And I would be careful trusting all of them, because some of them are definitely a part of the corruption. And now that they see the ship sinking, they're trying to save face. Because keep in mind, this terrible stuff at Rooster Teeth has been going on for years, and they said nothing about it up until now. They were apparently totally fine with it all going on. They were probably a part of it going on. As a matter of fact, there's already been evidence of one of the main accusers of recent stuff going on at Rooster Teeth being exposed for also being a part of those terrible things. I'll probably cover that tomorrow or in the next few days. And so here you can see Arryn's statement going back to that. And part of the reason I don't trust her is because I personally saw what she did to Tao Ubakata on Twitter. I reported on it, and I think she handled that situation very poorly for a number of reasons I don't want to completely recap here. If you missed that segment or those, I think there might have been 2 segments about that. Yeah, that's what it was, because she made her initial tweet, I covered it, then she made like 2 more tweets, so I did a follow-up video. I'll just link those segments in the description, so you can catch up. A quick TLDR, though, is basically Tao Ubakata is one of the people on the Japanese team working on, not Japanese team of Rooster Teeth, he's a part of the RWBY Ice Queendom team is what I'm getting at. And Arryn found something that he did allegedly all the way back in 2015 and tweeted about it. Even Tao Ubakata himself responded to her, like denying the stuff that she was bringing up, and basically saying that like he and his wife had just moved on from that like years ago. And yeah, it was kind of weird that she brought it up from 2015. And the whole thing was really, really weird. So yeah, I think she handled that weird. I don't trust her. And then in reference to her statement here, like some of this is just ridiculous too. She says that she was threatened with being recast on RWBY if she didn't accept what RT was willing to pay her. Okay, like don't get me wrong, I do understand the argument that like she's a main VA for RWBY, she's Blake, main character in RWBY, excuse me. But ultimately, that's literally what everyone in the world goes through for the most part. Like if you're not willing to accept what a company is willing to pay you, you're gonna get fired or recast or whatever. Like that's out of all the bad things coming out about Rooster Teeth, that seems like I'm just gonna laugh. That's all I'm gonna do. There you go. That's what I think about that. And then we've also got this. Former RWBY artist Ariana Flipini speaks out about Rooster Teeth and explains why Volume 9 was really delayed. Writing, RWBY Volume 9 was vastly delayed by the lack of help from leadership to the art team. They let a lead push us further and further behind schedule and put a line manager ahead of everyone else while he drove an entire fundamental team away. Yes, the other projects do play a part in the delayed season, but don't believe for a second that it was pushed back so employees wouldn't have to crunch. We still crunched. I and others were still asked to work 50 to 60 hour weeks. One moment, let me be sure this is on screen. Okay, there we go. I was constantly working at least 50 hours a week for my last few months, trying to save my juniors from massive overtime work as much as possible. The only difference was we were at least getting paid for it. Our pay still wasn't industry standard at all. There's one more page to check it out. She continues saying, I tried so hard to be heard, this company changed me for the worst. I became a different person trying to get anyone in leadership to listen and do something to help me and my team. I stuck it out for as long as I could, not for the company, but for the artists that remained there. From the top, everyone I knew whose work lives were going to get even more hellish with my departure. I'm still very happy and proud of the work I accomplished. I was lucky to meet and work with so many great and talented artists. Rooster Teeth never deserved any of us, but leadership was experts in gaslighting us to feel like we were never doing enough. I've gone from being a fan to having nothing but negative feelings toward this company. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. Just be kind to your workers, treat people fairly, and with respect. That really shouldn't be such a high bar. And then just to clarify, I believe Ariana is also the person we took a look at earlier who was talking about sailing the high seas regarding launching RWBY Volume 9, when it finally comes out, if it ever actually does. And in closing, Rooster Teeth has also issued another statement, a new statement, in a different format. They decided to just make a bunch of tweets this time instead of the last statement where they just had like a bunch of text in 2 different pictures that they included. They apologize for their hateful and harmful behavior that occurred in the past. So are they implying that that's not going on anymore or something? Okay, sure. They talk about like steps they've taken, and they talk about an investigation. This is interesting. Regarding Caden, they say they confirm Caden's work was paid in full according to their agreements, and that they'll honor the agreements and address any outstanding payments. So are they implying that Caden is a liar? Spoiler alert, I think Caden's the one that recently got exposed for saying a lot of terrible stuff, which we'll probably talk about tomorrow, or like I said, in the next couple days or so. They talk about having room to grow, and again, like different things that they've done to try and make the corporation better. You know, if you want to read this, I already read it. I just don't want to read it all in video again. If you want to read it, by all means, I'll just like copy paste this, put in a pinned comment for you, I guess. That's what I'll do. Sorry for not pinning anyone in advance. It's funny to me that they still talk about like diversity and inclusivity and how hate and harassment or hate and mistreatment have no place at their company. It's like, bruh, y'all are just saying the same sort of stuff you said before. Why should anyone believe that things are different now? Oh, and what's this? Content update. We're reducing RT programming to content this week. We've taken time to reconnect with one another. What? Okay, yeah, sure. Got it. Whatever. Anyways, as you might expect, people in the comments are not really taking the statement. They're not really believing Rooster Teeth. And I absolutely don't blame them at all. I think it's a reasonable take. I don't see why this company, what this company has done to earn anyone's trust at all. I've seen plenty that they've done for the opposite, however. And that's all I got to say in this one, I guess. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you there.